Hey guys, what's up? This is Jared for Triple D Farms. Getting ready to do some round baling. Got the round baler here. Got to do some little bit of greasing and get the round baler ready to go. I think probably about 15 acres maybe of hay that's raked up, mowed it down. Some of it mowed down 2 days ago. Some of it got mowed down yesterday. I think it's going to dry fine for round baling. Some of it looks really good. Like to square bale it. Don't have the help, so we're just going to forget about that for today. But turn you around here, we'll show you what we got. And it's been raining a lot, you know. This hay that right here that we got done had been down on the ground for, I think it was a week before we baled it. Got rained on like 4 or 5 times. The hay we're going to bale today actually hasn't been rained on. Not that I know of anyway. We got a little bit of rain the other day at my house, which is a couple miles away. We didn't get any rain over here. This is a rental property that we do. I think altogether it's about 80 acres, maybe 90. But we'll turn around, we'll show you what we got to bale today. So I got this side hill over here all to do today. That one part right there in the middle on that hill that's a little steep. Got a little pucker factor in that, buddy. And there's, of course, a woodchuck hole right in the middle of it. But we got this whole side hill, and then some down here below me, down there. So I think it's probably close to 15 acres altogether. We're gonna round bale it all up, and we'll check back in with you guys. Maybe when we're doing some baling, we'll kind of string a bunch of little videos together. And I got some pretty cool stuff coming in the future here. We're gonna up our game a little bit with our video, and that's gonna be pretty cool. We'll show you that when we get it. All right, guys, we're baling. We got the field opened up almost. We gotta finish up this windrow right in front of us to get this corner done, and the field will be all opened up. So this hay was mowed today's Sunday. This hay was mowed on Friday. It's actually real nice hay right here. I really would have liked to square bale it, but like I said, we don't have the help today, so we're just gonna let it go. My nephew's actually flying back to Texas after being here with us for a month, so didn't have his help today, but we're doing a pretty good job on my own. Just kind of want to talk about the raking here just a little bit. So a lot of times, you hear a lot of different things about rakes and different kinds of rakes, and people like this rake or that rake or whatever. Now, I think the rotary rakes are probably one of the best rakes you can get. We don't have that. We have a V rake. It's over there. You can't see that real well anyway. That's a Tonutty rake that we bought. Probably, I think it's a 2008 or so. And 2008, 2009, something like that. Now, it is, a V rake. Right now, it has 5 wheels on the side, and it will rake 2 of my windrows together pretty nicely. Now, we have a 9-foot 2-inch New Holland wood spine, so it'll rake those 2 windrows together pretty nicely. It actually opens up a little bit wider than that, and does a pretty good job. Now, when we first got it, it had 6 wheels on the side, and it had a center wheel kit. We had trouble with it. I think maybe it was the second day we raked with it, maybe the first day we raked with it, I don't remember. Broke that hitch that was on the brand new rake, and got it welded, beefed up, welded, put back together. It was fine for quite a while. And then it actually broke, I think it broke one side. Got a guy, a friend of mine, fixed it, and then broke the other side. He fixed that side. And since then, since it had both sides fixed, the main hitch fixed and both sides it's fixed, we haven't had any trouble with it as far as breaking welds. But we did have a little bit of trouble with it with the center wheel kit. Ended up taking the center wheel kit off. I did like it. I mean, it kind of made two windrows side by side. The idea was get two windrows side by side, get the air in between. That was kind of the idea. But look at these windrows here, though. These are all raked that Rake, and you can almost see how it is two windrows put together, and you can see a little gap. Well, the center wheel kit just made a little bigger gap is all. And it worked with cables and linkage and all this stuff, and it was very complicated and for what it was doing. We had trouble with it that linkage would break or cable would break. I had fixed it a couple times, and then one time, and the problem was that it wouldn't pick those wheels were in the middle, wouldn't pick them up right, was hard on those, just run them right in the ground sometimes. So I took it off and ended up taking off a wheel from each side. We got a bale. Ended up taking off a wheel from each side, taking off the center wheel kit, and we haven't had a problem with that Rake since. The only problem we've had with the Rake since then, for whatever reason, I don't really know why, but because it was a bigger Rake event at the beginning, I guess, excuse me, once in a while, my nephew actually did it this year, once in a while you can actually overextend the Rake. It goes back and forth on a great big shaft, and you can overextend the Rake, and it actually will pull apart. And I don't know, I did it one time. I actually done it twice, but one time I did it, actually both times I did it, I take that back. Both times I did it, it was kind of like a little side hill, nothing like major, and a sharp turn. And I think what happened was the cylinder was all the way out, and the wheel or whatever got dragged, and it kind of pulled it one way and pulled that out. That's the only trouble we've had with it since we took the wheel off each side and got rid of the center wheel kit. And I think, you know, people say, well, wheel rakes miss hay. Well, yeah, they do. They miss the hay here and there, a little bit of hay. You can see right there in front of you, it missed a little bit of hay. Well, that's where it misses the most, something like that. It's a pretty good side hill right here. And that Rake is so light that it actually slides downhill behind you, and you actually have to, when you're raking, you almost have to aim an entire windrow above where you want to be. So in other words, if we're raking two together, normally we've been driving right down the middle of them. You almost have to drive down what would be the upper one right here. You can see where it did better right here because I was adjusting it. That's, you know, that's just a wheel rake. I mean, it's not that heavy again, you know. It's not that heavy, not as much metal, you're not paying as much money for it, you know, it's kind of like the same, you know, trade-off, right? Versus, you know, a rotary rake or whatever, you know, maybe it would miss some on the side hill, maybe it wouldn't, I don't know, I've never tried one, I've only seen it. I know that they, you know, they do a pretty good job from what I've seen. They definitely cost quite a bit more money. There's a little bit more to setting them up, as far as setting them up for your field. From what I've seen, the ones I've looked at a couple different ones, New Holland, Peckway, you know, most of them. Actually, I was kind of surprised, like, I think it was a Peckway, maybe a New Holland too. You have to basically put that thing together, take the things and put it together once you get to your field. Transport board, you take it apart. I don't know, it does it pretty fast, but it's pretty amazing you had to do that because they're a lot wider, I guess is the reason. But anyway, you know, I don't think for what we're doing right now, the wheel rake does a bad job. Now, we have adjusted it, you know, over the years. I run it higher now than I used to. You want to keep it from pulling up the stubble, it'll pull grass right out of the ground if you run the wheels down. I think over the years the springs have gotten worn out, and it adjusted. The wheels definitely are worn, but as long as it gets 95% of the hay, doesn't pull up the stubble, I think that's fine. What are you gonna do? Except people will say, "Oh, you're missing hay." Well, yeah. Go out there and bale it, and you find out that it's 2 leaves of a square baler, square bale, or not even enough to make a difference on a round bale meter gauge, and it really doesn't look like that much. It's kind of like spilt milk. Spilt milk on the floor looks like a lot of spilt milk until you try to make it be a glass full. Anyway, we're just gonna keep on baling. Now, I do like to mow a certain way. I like to mow, get my ends done. I mow around the outside, so I used to mow around the outside twice, and then I don't know, a few years ago, I started mowing around the outside 3 times, or I used to mow around the outside 4 times, sorry. Then I started mowing a few years ago, I started mowing around the outside 6 times. And I seem to like that a lot better. It works out good. You come in with a rake, so we go back and forth, do all the middle ones, come back around, do the rake. You kind of can build the inner windrow, if you will. That's kind of the word I use, building it. And then you build the other ones based on where you built the inside one, go around the outside. Now, some people like to do their back swath first, some people like to do their back swath last. For me, I've done it both ways. This field here actually did my back swath first, because I had the field next to it mowed already. It's a big field. I divided it in 2. I already had the other part mowed, so there wasn't anything to mow up the side. So I did the back swath first. I don't know which way I like. I could do it either way. I have found out with doing the back swath first, it seems like it's a little bit harder to make it work out, I guess, like even. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say or not, but it's a little bit harder to make it work out anyway. So I'm used to mowing the back swath last. But anyway, I go around the outsides. We have a 9-foot 2-inch misbind. I go around the outside 6 times, and then I just start going back and forth, back and forth. I don't keep going around the outside. Most of our fields, this one has a road right up the middle of it. You get tired of going up there. I think the corners get harder to make with my mower. It's a 9-foot 2-inch New Holland, has a straight tongue. Now, I think if you had a bent tongue, maybe I'd keep going around the outside more. Obviously, it's more efficient to go back to have the mower down and actually cutting as much as possible. Got a bale, but you can do it however you want to. I like to just, and my thing is when I like to bale, everything's based on the square bale. Basically, I like to bale. I want the longest, straightest windrow I could get. So we mow around the outside 6 times. It gives us 3 outside windrows. We rake 2 together. A lot of times, if we're going to square bale, we'll round bale those outside rows. Then we'll start square baling, and we'll just go the square baler. The square baler just has to go back and forth, make it nice. So right here, the square baler will be coming up this windrow. Skip 1 or 2 and go back the other way and make nice, just less turning I do with a square baler with a thrower. Just makes it easier. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say that I can't throw them, I wouldn't say I can't throw them in there on a turn, but it just makes it easier. So we're just gonna keep baling, and we'll probably check back in with you. Well, guys, we're back to baling. We had a mechanical issue with the baler, and I was out. I wish I could have filmed it, but I probably said a few naughty words, and I was out there for quite a while trying to fix this baler. Boy, that sun's brighter right there, isn't it? It is getting later in the day. It's after 6, but the baler, so this 7060 VR7060 round baler here, we've had issues with it in the past where it didn't trip to tie, wouldn't quit tying, things like that. And before, we had problems with it where it wasn't tripping to tie. That's what happened today. It wasn't tripping to tie. So the meter went way up past stop. No tie. The baler wasn't tying. So in the past, when that happened, I could get out. I just get out and I trip it by hand. You go back and crank on that lever, hit the lever, and bale then it releases it, lets it tie, ties a bale. Next time, you're probably good to go. Okay? Never had to do that too much. Over or whatever. Just once in a while. I don't know. You hit a bump or I don't know what makes it do it, but anyway, today that wouldn't work. I could not get the lever to do anything. The lever was stuck. So I got looking at it and I took the guard off and I took this off and I took that off and I just could not figure out what it was. The lever, and if I get a chance, I will video it and I'll show you what I'm talking about, but there is a pin in there on the cam that has to basically be released for that cam to start the track around to make the tie-in. That's what happens. And what happened was, I don't know what made it do it, I don't know how it did it, but that pin was right up against the lever that has to slide back in order to let it tie. So the lever stops the clutch from tying. That's how the lever catches the clutch and the clutch stops tying. That's how it works. Well, the lever was right up against there. The hammer of the clutch was down on the lever, so the clutch wouldn't move, and the lever was up against the pin, so the pin wouldn't move, the lever wouldn't move, nothing would move. And after I took a bunch of stuff apart and I tried to figure it out, I thought it was the needles. I thought the needles were just stuck, but they were not stuck. So I took them apart, got them freed up. They weren't stuck anyway. That wasn't it, couldn't do it. So then I ended up, what I did was I took out a cotter pin and I took that pin out and I took the plate and I lifted it up and allowed the lever to slide back. Okay? Oh, then when I put it back together, I forgot to put the lever back in the right position so it wouldn't stop tying. And then I finally figured out what I did wrong there. Put that back in the right position, took off, started to make hay again. First bale, same thing happened. Wouldn't tie. Alright, so I get out, so now I'm smarter. I'm 3 hours smarter, and I spent about 3 hours fixing it. 3 hours smarter, I get out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that cotter pin out, I'm going to slide that lever up. The other lever's going to go back. It's going to be in the tying position. I'm going to flip it around, put the lever back where it was, put the pin back in. No big deal, it's going to tie it. And actually, late in the day, been messing with it all day, I'm thinking, you know what? Taking that cotter pin out, sliding that lever up, that's not that bad of a job. But I thought, well, we'll see what we do. If it does it again, I ought to start getting out. So I actually made up my mind that if it didn't start tying, I was just going to start getting out and tripping the baler before it got to the full stop, tripping it by hand and making it tie. Well, second bale tie, third bale tie, working on the fourth bale. It'll probably tie. I have no real idea what happened other than the fact that hit a bump the first time, put things back together when they weren't quite in time with each other how they're supposed to be, and it took a full bale to cycle, full tying cycle to get that straightened out. And maybe that was it. Maybe we're going to be good to go. My thought is there's a spring in there. There's a spring in there, and that spring actually is hooked to a cable. That's what determines your bale size. We're running ours on what should be, I think, is the smallest bale. Okay? We're not making the smallest bales, but we're making nice bales. I don't even know what the diameter is of them, but they are pretty nice looking bales. Pretty happy with them. So what I think is that spring just might need to be replaced. The baler is 14 years old or so. We've done a lot of baling hay with this thing over the years. I think maybe we can replace that spring. We would probably solve the problem. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking. I don't know how much the spring could be. What could the spring be? Well, I don't know, $5, $10, $15, $20. I don't know. Probably worth the shot. I know that in the past we had trouble with it tripping. We adjusted the spring, and that fixed the problem because it made it trip earlier. And as far as I know, I'll have to look at the book to make sure, but I'm pretty sure we are what would be the earliest trip setting. We're on that earliest trip setting right now, I think. I'm gonna have to check that out, but what a day. Really, really thin hay up here. I made that bale there's a little lopsided. I don't care. I'm just putting it in the baler and I'm just hoping it ties. So we'll check back in with you. I'll probably show you what I'm talking about. And that's what we try to do, try to show each other tips and tricks and fixing things. People think round baling is easier. Round baling is easier, but I'll tell you what, over the years we've worked on this round baler more than we worked on our square baler. As far as it wouldn't tie, wouldn't quit tying, wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that, wouldn't trip. So people that think that round baling is easier than square baling, it is. It probably is easier baling, but the balers take just as much. This round baler has taken more maintenance than our square baler, that's for sure. But anyway, we'll check back in a little bit. Hey guys, real quick, just going to show you. So when the bale is made, this right here, that's your bale size. It's hooked to this cable, and here's your pins, these pinholes, and that determines your bale size. So when it trips, this is free, and then this right here lever turns and lets it go into tying mode. And when it goes into tying mode, that cam right there moves around, and that's what determines tying mode. So I couldn't trip it, and normally you pull the handle down here, pull that handle, and you can trip it manually. Couldn't trip it, couldn't do anything with it, couldn't get that handle to move at all. So what I did was I took out the pin. Okay, so I took out, there's a pin on that plate right there. Okay, I took that pin out, which is hard to see. I took this pin out right here. It's a cotter pin. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's a cotter pin. Took that out, and that let me lift this up, and that let this, so it got it out of this way of that lever, and it went back, and then it tied. And then, so what I did was I lifted it up, took the pin off, lifted it up, let the lever go back, then I put it back where it went, and put the pin back in, so when it was done tying it stopped tying. I have no idea what makes it not trip, okay? Not sure. I think maybe it's a spring. See the spring right here? That spring's fully extended. I think maybe we just need to get a new spring, and it probably will work better. This is supposed to be your bale size, all the holes in there. It's, as far as I know, where I have it is that basically would be the smallest bale. Okay, that's my, I'll have to look in the book to make sure, but that's my understanding of how that works. So I think maybe we just need to get a new spring, and it'll probably be fine. But it will work the rest of today. It just took me a long time to get it fixed up, get it going. Another thing one thing I don't like about this baler is look at all the, making great bales, but look at all the chaff and the hay and everything that ends up everywhere where it's not supposed to be. Now this year, the hay's a little thin, it's a little short. Some of it I understand is just, it's getting thrown up in there by the pickup head and it's just not going in. You know, a little breeze, whatever, it's blowing it away. But this baler is always covered with chaff and whatnot. The biggest tool that I like to use on this baler is the leaf blower. You just blow it all out and, you know, plug your nose and blow it all out. That's the best thing you can do for it. But anyway, that is what we have. So please like and subscribe this video, and drop a comment or question down below, and stay tuned for more. Have a great one.